looking at Petar, whom his job now is Chief AI Officer, right? For one of the biggest investment funds in Bulgaria. And how old are you?
41.
41. Okay, so I'm 42. We were born at the same age where this was not existing. A lot of the things that you see and you use were not existing. And probably Petar never thought when he was a kid that he would do a job that is connected with AI, being the chief AI officer, but he's here with us. So it's a great example to show you. For instance, my job has been more or less the same for the past 200 or maybe even more years. We journalists or we people dealing with media gather information and try to pass it on the simplest and also most objective way. But his job wasn't existing 20, 30 years ago. So it's a great example for you to realize how quickly the world is changing and how our brains have to be flexible, learnable. So I guess this is going to be the topic of the next hour and a half. How AI and how our brains interconnect for us all to move forward as a personalities, as a communities, as a civilization, I guess. So Peter, let's start with you. You've prepared a couple of slides and we are looking forward to them. So go ahead.
Thanks. And I'll get up.
And you should grab the mic.
You can take the other one if you want. I feel more comfortable when I'm straight. All right. So I am not going to talk today about the general stuff. What is AI? How fast it's coming. But I want to start from AGI. How many people know what AGI is? Almost no one. Okay, good. That's going to be some new stuff. We're going to have something to learn. Okay. So there's two terms that you should be aware of. One is AGI and one is ASI. Are we going to take questions like right now or should we later? Okay, sorry. So remember your question. AGI is artificial general intelligence. And you should think of it in simple terms. Artificial intelligence that is roughly equal to a medium human, meaning it can do most of what an average person can do. And ASI is artificial superintelligence, and it's anything beyond that, something that is smarter and more capable than us. So ASI is really is a complex topic, and we're not going to discuss this, and it's kind of the distant future. But I do want to talk about AGI. And AGI is what's coming very, very soon. So I want to start with this. And I actually do need to be close to this. 2 words about me. I am, as Vesko said, Chief AI Officer for 11. So I'm trying to figure out how the 11 Venture Fund can be more efficient in using any possible way AI, but also all the 70 companies we have invested in, how they can be more efficient and return more of the money back to us. At the same time, I have a mission, and my mission is to explain to people what AI is, what the situation is, and what's going to hit us in the next couple years. Which is why I wrote a book, so it's easily digestible and scalable to many people, because I can't be everywhere at the same time. So this is my mission, and everything I do is kind of channeled towards the idea that people need to understand what's happening. What I also do on the side is I consult companies on how to adopt AI. It turns out to start using AI is very difficult, very expensive. People have fears, and it's not as easy to adopt. So I'm kind of doing this help with companies, organizations, and so on. So, okay, I'm gonna really need to stay close. Actually, 2 weeks still for you. Maybe we can turn it around a little bit. Okay, let's see if this is better. So, from a presentation I had yesterday, I'm only going to talk about the next 3 years. anything beyond 3 years is literally impossible to predict and impossible to think. This is my opinion. So if anyone wants to ask, how do you see future in 5 to 10 years? I have no clue right away, I'm telling you. So 3 things I want to talk about in the future. AGI is the first one. Now, okay, this is a graph that kind of shows you what people thought as a prediction of when we're going to hit AGI, meaning when are we going to be able to develop an AI that does most of the work we do. And too small. Actually, I'm just going to use the laser. This is 2020. And at 2020, we thought it's going to take 50 years to get to AGI. And now we're at 2024, and it's looking like it's going to take another 3 years to get to AGI. So the predictions of when we're going to hit it are falling and falling and falling and becoming smaller and smaller the more we progress in AI. What that means is that with every single day, we're developing more technologies that make it faster to get to AGI. So we should expect that relatively soon. A lot of the information I read, because I track a lot of the labs in the States, a lot of the key figures that develop AI, and a lot of their opinions converge towards 3-year prediction or less. And that is not considering any jumps in technology, meaning somebody somewhere invents a new way of dealing with AI, and that drops the predictions even more. Okay. So on the left, you have a neural network, kind of digital neural network that is a simplification of neurons being connected with a small. I don't think you can see it very well, but between the big neurons, there's a connection that's between 0 and 1, and it expresses how well they're connected. And then we obviously have the brain on the other side. Now, AGI does not sound very scary. If we're talking about super intelligence, we can be like, oh, super intelligence might kill us, might do all kinds of things. But AGI is like, oh, well, we're going to have an AI that works a lot. Okay, but I want to do some basic calculations. Given that I write an essay for about 30 minutes and the LLM writes it for like literally seconds, we could probably say that it's about 60 times faster in producing content and doing work. I need to rest, I need to sleep, I need to eat, I need to socialize, and I need to possibly play sports and all of that. The AI doesn't need to do any of that. So it's probably about 5 times more efficient. And then finally, my focus drops down quite a lot when I'm tired, when I have to work continuously and all that, and the AI does not have that issue. So if you take all these factors without thinking of anything else, just those factors, that's about 900 times more efficient. So if you deploy one AGI instance, it's is equal to 900 full-time employees. Now, this is a big deal. So imagine that you're a big company and you have tons of money, billions, and you have tons of servers, billions, millions, and you can deploy quite a lot of computers, like let's say 1 million instances of AGI. That means you actually have a workforce of 900 million full-time employees doing what? Whatever you want. You can see them. We can't see them. The company can see them. We cannot track them and find them because they don't have a social security number, again. So there's no responsibility of anything they do. They can be put in and out of existence. You can deploy more or you can kill some of them without any registers. So it's very difficult to imagine a world where there's 900 million workers doing something that nobody knows what they're doing for someone. How do we regulate this? How do we deal with this? Are they going to do our work? Are they going to sway elections? Are they going to sell us product? Are they going to do what in general? So that's quite a lot of changes for a social structure, which we don't have the means to deal with yet. We don't know what to do with this. It's not regulated, and nobody's really thinking about it, and there's no debate yet in public on this topic. All right. So the strangest thing is that most of the big companies like Microsoft, Google, OpenAI, which are the creators of ChatGPT, actually have AGI as a mission. So they say, our mission is to create AGI for the benefits of humanity. However, nobody really knows what's going to happen when you have AGI. What are they going to use this AGI for? Are they even going to tell us that they developed it and all that? The reason they do it and they have AGI is because public don't understand what the implications of AGI and how deep they can run into our society, but also because they want to attract the best talent. So the best AI researchers, they want to make a difference in the world. They want to make something huge. So they want to work on AGI. Nobody calls it super intelligence, although the line between AGI and ASI is not very clear. So if you do develop AGI, it's unclear whether that's already ASI. All right, the next topic I want to say over the next 2-3 years is that generative AI is going to be everywhere. This is the logo, even though it's an emoticon, emoji. This is the logo of a site called Hugging Face. It's a French company. And what they do is they host all the models of AI. So anybody that creates an AI model that does something meaningful and open sources it, uploads it to this website so that other people can use it, take it, modify it, improve it, and do all this. So they started long time ago, but they really exploded when ChatGPT appeared and the generative AI appeared. And as of 2023, April, I checked the website and there was 179,000 models, meaning 179,000 AIs have been uploaded so that other people can use them and implement them in software. Only 1 year later, those models were 700,000. And just recently, the founder of the company said that they have crossed the 1 million mark. So on this website, there's 1 million types of AI that you can use for something. You can upload on your website. You can implement in a software, in an app, in your email, in your anything. Now, just to give you an idea for the numbers, one of these 180,000 models was Stable Diffusion back in the days of April 23, and it was downloaded for that month 2,800,000 times. So 2,800,000 times were downloaded for this one model out of 180,000 models. And in June 2024, the most popular model was this one, which was downloaded 600 million times. So can you imagine how many developers, and this is one of those 700,000 models, how many developers are downloading these, testing them, trying them out, improving them, and putting them into software? So what I want to say with this slide is that there is going to be AI everywhere, in everything you do, in all the software you use, and in everything in life you do, it will be full of AI. And it's coming, but we can't see it just yet. All right, one more slide on that topic. Stargate is a supercomputer or data warehouse that Microsoft and OpenAI are building. They're putting 100 billion into this. And I made small calculation. If you spend a little bit of this 100 billion on buildings and the rest you put in chips, I calculated how many chips you can buy for processing AI. And then I calculated how much they can produce. And then I kind of looked at how much a human produces in his daily work and kind of compared it to this. And it turns out that Microsoft and OpenAI are roughly gearing to replace 1 billion full-time jobs. So they're building something and they expect that whatever they have as technology, as AI, can replace 1 billion people. So even if my calculations are off by 1, 5, or 10 times, this is a huge number that you have to understand. They know what they're doing because the models they've seen are things that we're going to see in 1 year later. So, for example, whatever they're releasing now for us to see, it's been in their labs for about 1 year. So they know what the future holds, and they're gearing up for 100 billion full-time jobs. So AI everywhere. The last topic I want to see, there's going to be changes. There's going to be changes in schools, meaning there's going to be more and more AI. I have slides there, okay. There's going to be more and more AI in schools for learning the current material. So teachers are going to adapt and use AI to teach in better and more efficient ways. But also we have to rethink what makes sense to learn, because information on its own is not that valuable anymore, given you can take it at any point in any format that you want. So we have to reconsider what makes sense to learn at school. So we're going to be repurposing the current education system. This is going to be a slow process and a difficult process, and we have to get through, and there's no way around it. In media, a lot of changes will be in media, with the ability to generate any kind of content that looks incredibly realistic, like deepfakes. It's going to be hard to say what's real and what's not. So we're going to go back to the main sources of information, like the big newspapers that we trust. We're going to go to the famous people that we trust, and we're going to just look at their channels, because every other channel, we're not going to know if the content is real or not. So this is going to be a very interesting change in the media. There's going to be a lot of change in communication. Human to AI, that's going to be huge. Not only because humans are going to use AI to do everything in their lives, but also because humans are going to start befriending AI. They're going to start discussing things for life. They're going to start like communicating on a daily basis for things that are not important or work. They're just conversational, and that's a big change. We will have change in work, and just this week, one of the LLM companies, Anthropic, which is currently leading the benchmarks and doing, meaning their LLM model is better than ChatGPT in a way. They released, or they demoed and they showed what they're going to be giving us access to, which is computer use. Essentially, it's a program that you install on your computer, and it controls your entire computer to do the tasks you say you want. So if you tell it the task, reserve a hotel for me, it's going to open the browser, go to a place, look at the dates you want, pick the right one, scroll, reserve, go check your email, confirm everything that's required, and do kind of end-to-end task. We know already that the LLMs are smart enough to do this, but you always have to copy, paste, and kind of browse around. Now this can be done with computer use. And in the meantime, Microsoft released their agentic framework, meaning system where you can build agents that will do the work for you. And also Google showed their way of implementing agents. So 2025 will be a big year for how things are done, because there's going to be agents that are going to do this for you. It's not just going to be chat where you talk with the AI. So in 2025 is going to be the year where we first going to feel this. So for now, it's just nice, it's interesting, it's chat. But for the first time, people that do not know about AI and people that have nothing to do with technology are going to start feeling it and understanding some of it, and kind of start asking questions and require some public debate to understand what's going on for the first time. So my kind of idea for you is that, one, AI is better than what you think right now. And two, it will evolve faster than you think. So you have to be ready for that. How are you going to be ready for that? One is to know that you have competition, and you're not going to compete against AI, because AI is going to blow us out in almost any proportion. But you're going to be competing to other humans. So that's what you have to imagine. The more AI you know, the more things you can do, the more you're going to be ahead of others. No matter what our situation is, whether we will be difficult to find a job, whether we will be ruled by AI, whatever it is, you need to compare yourself to other humans. And yeah, the more prepared and the more knowledgeable you are, the better. And so what do you learn? You have to learn AI. You have to learn you have to really master LLMs and understand and extract the everything possible from a chatbot, not just to generate text. You can analyze situations, you can run deep analysis, and you can learn quite a lot of things. Whatever you do in life, there will be specific tools for that. If you become marketer, there's going to be tools for marketing. If you become salesperson, there's going to be tools for sales. You have to learn the tools for your job. And not only that, you have to keep yourself updated continuously. So learning new things constantly is going to be key. And that is actually my last slide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Petar, thank you so much. At some point, I was starting to get depressed from what you were presenting. But I guess your final notes made it clear that it's not as bad as we think it is, first of all. And probably the key thing is point number 3 here, which is a very, very good introduction to what Leora is going to be talking about and what we're all going to be talking about in the next hour. Leora, just to get the discussion started, I'd like to ask you a question, because you've heard what Petar is saying. I don't know whether he became as depressed as I was at the beginning, but maybe just as an intro question to you, looking at his slides, how do you think can the human brain compete with AI?
It depends on what level, right? So, first of all, the human brain, can you hear it? What is the human brain? It's the whole of us. So let me just give a little bit of an overview that I got. The first thing, I wanted to argue with him about everything. So it's going to be a debate. It's going to be a debate. So the first thing is I just want us to step back a little bit and take a big picture. Throughout history, what has distinguished humanity from the rest of the animals and the whole, environment is that humans were gifted with a very good brain, right? So we managed to become rulers of the other animals and also to, I agree with you, kind of destroy the earth. But because we have these good brains, the emphasis throughout history, hundreds of years, thousands of years, has been to rely a lot on the brain and the thinking and ignore the rest of what the brain is, which is the rest of the body, so that we don't listen to what feels good and doesn't feel good, what seems right and not right. And I beg your pardon? Question? Oh. So we're kind of ignoring a huge part of what we are and how we make decisions. So AI, very nice, it can think in all kinds of ways and create all kinds of things.
Sure.
But for what, right? So you see now with the flood of information that we get, that there's too much information and people don't know what's right and wrong. You talk about media. You choose what to listen to. You can listen to a cult leader and become a Mooney or a, crazy something and really believe in it. Or you can listen. I mean, what are your sources of information? You need to decide. So how do you know who you are? So what we want to do in terms of when you talk about the brain and the learning is find the mechanism in ourselves where we can make a decision. Where are you in the middle of all this lots of information and the AI can create your essays and all of that? But, the uncertainty that you talk about in what's going to happen in this next year and everything, you can get stressed out. But let me tell you that 200 years ago or 300 years ago, there'd suddenly be a plague and everybody would die. I mean, there was always uncertainty. People never know if somebody that they love is going to die or some car is going to smash into them. I mean, there's always uncertainty. What do we have as humans? So AI has developed in a way that we have to wake up and realize that just thinking and creating all this, what is intelligence? What is intelligence? I think intelligence is knowing who you are, first of all. And we're so outsourced all the time And what we try to do with our technology is give people the ability to, first of all, know who they are, what around is their environment, how to trust themselves to know right from wrong and good from bad. And we can teach that. We can give you yourself back. You don't always have to look out to know, to get information. There's so much information inside yourself. I mean, as an example, even the brain has two sides. Always you can do with one side of the body and one side of your brain something that the other side can't do. The knowledge is in you. We give you the technology to use that. So AI has brought us really against ourselves. AI can do everything, but it cannot feel. It cannot make judgment about right and wrong. It cannot give you the sense of who you are and how to care about somebody else. And that you can actually, it's in you. You know how to do that. You just need to connect in a way to be sure about it. That's what we've been able to give. And I think when you talk about uncertainty and learning and jobs, there's always something that you as a human need to center and think, wait, who am I? How do I do this? What do I want to do? A machine will never give you this, and AI will never tell you. And that's nice because you always have you. And yeah, that's what we teach, is to be you.
Okay, and talking about us and this, I'll simplify and saying, let's call it emotional intelligence that we develop within ourselves, that probably at this point AI cannot develop. What are the other critical skills that we need to develop and learn, and especially our friends here in high school, in order to be competitive with AI?
Do you mean how do we teach this? What skills do we give?
First, the critical skill sets in our day and age, especially in the context of AI approaching, and how do we teach them? How do you learn them?
Well, I think these are skills we always needed. It's just AI has highlighted that we really need to act now because we cannot rely on just generating material or information, right? So even the idea of knowing inside yourself what you're feeling right now, how do you make yourself feel better? And it doesn't have to be a big deal. It's like, are you more comfortable sitting like this or sitting like that? Do you even notice how you're sitting? Do you notice if you're breathing? You know, do you know what you prefer in terms of how you want to conduct yourself, how you want to move yourself? So there's some beliefs that we have that we can change. And that's always been true through history. Now it's just truer. And that is that we've also learned that, or believed, that you can only learn through really working hard and trying really hard and no pain, no gain. You know this expression. And we teach actually the opposite. You learn from what you do with pleasure and what you do with ease. Because once you can do it with ease, you can expand that ability. So it's just a matter of, and through questions, you discover in yourself what is best for you. You are in the end the center of all of this. This AI developed from people, started developing it. So this sense of identity and self-evaluation and self-trust is something we need to bring back to humanity because we've been neglecting it for too many years, centuries, by trusting so much on our brain. That part, but it doesn't know it stops here. So what about the signals you get from inside to say, wait a minute, this is not so good for me. How can I rethink it? How can I change my internal state? Because, every physical state is connected with an emotional state. You all know the simple thing. I'm showing a big difference. If somebody's like this and they're really depressed and sad, it's connected with this kind of body. You can instinctively, know it. So if you know that, and you know that if I say to somebody, think of something creative and happy, they go, oh, let me see. This, I think, is familiar for everybody. It resonates with you, which is just an example of how the state of the condition of the body and the thinking process and which places in the brain are being activated is connected to the rest of the body. So just by knowing that, if somebody is really depressed and they go, wait a second, I can change this state by changing my posture, because my breathing is different like this than like that. When people laugh and cry and pray, it's always this sense of self. I'm just giving an example of how intrinsically it's connected. And this is a posture of opening up creativity, imagination. So just by knowing how your body and your mind work together, you can master it. You have the control. You're not reactive. And then you're a depressing thing. You go, oh my God, I'm never going to manage it. But remember that throughout history, all your ancestors dealt with uncertainty. It wasn't maybe as clear as this. But now that we have this clarity, we know the urgency even more of all of you getting this understanding and knowledge that you can manage your state and you can think, what do I do with this?
I want to agree with you, but I want to say something, a story. It's actually not. Actually, I have been working on the last 3 or 4 years on exactly that with my therapist, connecting myself to myself, because I'm a very analytical person and I think a lot about stuff. But it turns out that I don't really understand myself. I don't really feel myself. And the first lesson I got that I really, really struck me when I was explaining something about the job that I didn't enjoy. And I was sitting on the couch and talking to my therapist, and he was roughly in this position. and then I was talking, I was low energy. I was not enjoying where I was and how I was doing. And then we started talking about something that I did like, and I did enjoy. And I started like standing straight and waving with my hands. And then my therapist stopped me and she said, I want you to notice 2 things. First, your position and how energetic you were, or low energy you were just 10 minutes ago, and how I felt about listening to you. And I just wanted this conversation to end right there because I was feeling bad about you. And I want you to notice yourself now that you're standing straight and you're energetic and you're telling such interesting things that I want this conversation to continue. So once she told me that was kind of like the beginning of my connection to myself and kind of trying to notice what makes me feel how, and to kind of start connecting to myself, exactly what you're saying. And this has been really, this has been really instrumental in understanding what I want to do in my life, finding the right path and getting better at it, because you now have the clear way. So I do agree with you on this one.
Can I just add something? Oh, thank you for agreeing. You can argue if you want. But notice also when you sit forward, so can you do it for a minute? Look that you are also more ready for action, right? Like that, you're reactive. And the one thing that you said, so how do you deal with this? I think the most important thing in dealing with these things is flexibility. Because things are going to change, things are going to happen. If you are aware of yourself in space and of your environment, and you can be flexible around it, and that's what we teach also. When your mind is flexible and your body are flexible, I mean, they feed each other. When you're like this, your breathing is different because you can breathe more like this. Your lungs are contracted, right? So great. I mean, I hope that you all understand that these things are connected, and we do have the power. Each one of you has an ability that a machine will never have, to feel, to think, to be empathetic, to care.
Leora, I think flexibility is a great keyword, in the sense of all of us having to be flexible in our mindset, in our future thinking, let's say. Because, Peter said that in 3 years, AI is going to come and we don't know what's going to happen. And of course, we heard that you don't agree with it.
No,
but
I say to our text, you don't know what's going to happen.
But how do you learn flexibility? Because our students here, for them, this is just a term, and you gave a couple of ideas on how we can shape this term. But how do you train this?
First of all, to know how you are connected to yourself. So do you even know how your physiology is built? Do you know that the brain and the pelvis and the legs are connected? You say to somebody, it's just knowing stuff. So if I tell somebody, turn your head to look around you. Can you all try turn your head to look around you? Look at them. Right? Where does it stop? Where does it stop? So we have language. And language is a great tool, but it's also a big limitation because we say neck, chest, lower back, right? So people think it's divided. So when you say turn to look around, they go like this, and here it stops. But it's one spine, you have one long spine that connects everything. When you turn your head, the message is going down. But if you stop it here because you say chest is a box, right? Then, right, in most languages, it's a box, it's a basket, it's a chest. And then the lower back. And if you think about it, in terms of health anyway, if you do this all the time, when you are 30 and 40 and 50, you'll have a neck pain. A lot of people, this is everybody that I talk to at some age, they get neck pain or lower back pain because the chest is blocking them. So first of all, it's just knowing how you're built so that when you turn, if you want to look around you and turn to look, you can use more of yourself. And it has to do, the next step is knowing how it's built and distributing the work in a logical way. If you want to turn a lot, if you only use the neck, it's the smallest, I'm giving you an example, okay? It's the smallest vertebrae holding the heaviest organ, right? Doing the most work. And then here, that is most of the spine, is saying, we're not in this job, right? Right, and when you do it, can you go do it? They show them, where's your weight, on the right or the left?
I can't tell.
You can't tell. That's the thing. If we know what's better, you can all try it. I mean, you can tell me then if I'm wrong. If you turn to look around, you balance. If you want to look more, right?
Or to the left then.
You can also go to the right. You can also go either way. But you need to know what you're doing. So the thing about flexibility is, first of all, know what you do. If you know what you do, you can do what you want. When you're doing it unconsciously, you're a victim. You're just acting without knowledge. So flexibility, I think, is first of all knowing your resources and then distributing the work. You talk about intelligence. What is intelligence, right? So distributing the work intelligently. And if you think about it, it applies, you try it on yourself, but when you think in this way, it applies to how you work between you. If you have a project, not everybody is the best at everything, right? That's why it's nice to have a team. So you can distribute the work in a corporation, in a project at school, in every way. There's then intelligence in that system and flexibility for each one to use their best part the way they want. So you can decide, do I really want to just turn my neck? Okay, it's not forbidden. But I'm doing what I want, not because I'm just habitually an automat. That's why we're not, an AI.
So are you saying that training flexibility starts from understanding your body and connecting to yourself, and then that can be translated into intellectual flexibility?
Exactly. Not only this, but also social flexibility. So like what you were doing, already he has the flexibility because he can be like this, or you can be like that, depending what you want to do, right? So when you have the mastery of self in this way, and it becomes even more, how can I say, you get more details of it as you go along, how far you want to go with it. But basically, you can have some options, and that's already flexibility of how you deal with input.
You mentioned the term social flexibility. Can you tell us more about it?
Well, behaving in a way that you can react to the environment in the way that you choose. So tuning, first of all, being able to learn from other people, because if you know that you operate in a certain way and it gives you a sense of your center and your ability, automatically other people become more interesting also, because you know that they operate differently, and it's interesting, and you can become flexible in learning different things from other people. And also, if something happens that you don't like, you can deal with it. That's flexibility too, right? something unpleasant happens, you don't have to get, oh my God, oh my God. You can say, okay, I'm going to stop and breathe. Does that answer your question? Like, I think being flexible socially is being able to interact with the environment and with society in a way that you can always keep your center and respond appropriately and help others or not help others or help yourself. Just have all these options in yourself of what you feel and what you do.
Petar, I'm going to provoke you with a question. Because we've been running around the topic of AI and the danger of it. But do you think there is a possibility there as well? Because I read an article today that, because I started with my profession, which a lot of people were saying it's dying, and we still...
What is dying? What is dying? A journalism.
And our paper magazine that we still publish, a lot of people were thinking 10 years ago that it's going to be gone and dead and not existing. But there was an article at Bloomberg just a couple of days ago that this magazine feeling is becoming unique. So, and Leora, you were also saying about this, that at some point where the information flood is getting bigger and bigger, you start looking at and relying on people or brands or magazines that you value, and that and I read another article. There was an interview by a friend of mine for the Capital Weekly in the last edition. Their interview was with one of the guys who developed Spotify as it is, and probably all of you have Spotify now in your phones. And he was saying, he was asked about this trend with vinyls. Do you know what a vinyl is? Grammophone pod? Vinyl? In the music industry, the gramophone, the vinyl player, 10 years ago it was gone, but now suddenly it's going back in trend. It's a lot of people want to experience this big thing with the booklet, with the artwork. So it contributes to the music industry. What I was this is a big intro, but do you think that we as humans facing AI would turn back into ourselves, into our communication face to face? Because you guys, most of you, are communicating now through your phones. So is there an option that we will discard AI and go back to us being real humans?
I think there will be a split. On one side, we're going to use more AI because everything will depend on AI. You're going to have to use it at work. You're going to have to use it when you need information. You're going to have to use it when you want to improve yourself, let's say, or when you want to make an analysis, because that's going to be your second brain. At the same time, some people might realize they actually need human connection, and they will start valuing this. And whenever they have time and possibility, they'll start getting in touch with people and actually kind of isolating AI in favor of the human. So there will be also some of that. But I don't think the changes are going to be generally towards using more AI in our lives.
Can I answer?
Sorry?
I think it depends on you.
Oh, yeah.
Really, this time, some time ago they invented the atom bomb, and humanity thought, now we can destroy ourselves. We better find out who we are and fight this development of sciences and so on. And we didn't do it. Now we have AI, which is really slamming us against ourselves because it can do so much more in the thinking way than a human can, like you were showing. And at what point do we wake up and say, wait a minute, who are we? Each one of us, who am I? What do I want? Okay, let the AI generate my essay, but really as a human, what do I do to save this world? And I do want to say, although it sounds a huge thing, this situation here is a small but huge step, because I've been doing this all my life and I've been researching it for 50 years. So I'm 70 now. I've been researching it for 50 years, applying it to physical education, applying it to corporations, applying it to motivational speakers, very famous names that you will identify, all kinds of fields, including special needs and people with injuries and all of that. And it does come up to the simple things that we can do here, that I gave some examples, but in this school, they're beginning to incorporate it. I have not had the bandwidth to do things beyond my research and applying it in specific places. I mean, even, training personal trainers and musicians and working in personal coaching. But I haven't had the infrastructure to do something like this, where we bring together minds from different fields and these incredible teachers and this team that Evgenia has pulled together to see if we can make it so that it's transferable more easily to people like you who actually would not be interested in this at all, but make it interesting enough for you, maybe by a short TikTok or something, that people can find that they can become their optimal self. So optimal performance, optimal training, optimal learning, and an optimal being happy in the world, being able to be your best self for your life, is actually quite simple techniques. And I promise you they are, because I was born into a lot of this, and that's why I'm so motivated to share it all my life. I'm working on this because it has helped me so much. I've been through a lot. And, with your health and with your mental state, big things happen to me, like serious illness and loss of relatives and things like that. But I don't get depressed. I just know how to deal. This thing about flexibility, right? So if you help us, each one of you young people here, to test and see if this is working, and help us shape it, give us feedback, so that we know if it's simple enough, if it's easy enough. I think I've already made it really, really simple, because I put together all kinds of psychology and science and Eastern and Western, all kinds of stuff to bring it down to these simple things. This can be the beginning of spreading something that, you're right, I'm sure there'll be, I agree with you, but I don't know the future. And maybe we can make the proportionality a little more human-sized than just reacting to the AI. And instead of it being 50-50% or 60-40, it'll be 60-40 another way. It's in your hands, right? We're not victims. I hope we're not victims. We can make it. We can try. It's worth it, I think.
Yeah, perfect. Leora, thank you. I'm going to now open the floor for your questions. And Vicky, I know you have a bunch, but then all the rest of you are free to ask our knowledgeable guests here whatever you want.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. My first question is how we can keep human creativity the key factor, the key focus of humanity, especially with AI developing, because I see a lot of people who start to fully depend on artificial intelligence and they start to lose their ability to think critically and their creativity. So how can we persevere this human creativity?
I think the answer is exactly what Leora said. It's up to you. So if you want to be creative, you can use the AI to help you with that. Figuring out what to brainstorm is already creative work. Achieving things, if you want to do and develop your mind, you can do that through AI. If you just want to use the AI to get the job done without your effort, you can also do that. So do you want to push the limits and make something interesting with AI? Or do you want to just get the job done and be done with the AI? I have to tell you that I use AI nonstop, all the time. And I push all the limits. I usually use AI when my own brain is not enough. And so when I reach the limit of my own brain, it's definitely not the situation where I'm not creative and I'm not thinking and I'm not practicing and I'm not developing myself. So again, it's the same thing. It's your choice, and you can either use it to develop yourself. It's just that the tasks you're going to do are going to be different, but you're going to still push yourself and develop your brain. You're going to make more connections between the neurons. It's just going to be different tasks. That's my feel.
I say something too. First of all, thank you for agreeing with me. And secondly, what I want to say is what is creativity about what, right? So if some super brain in AI can create something specific that you need, then you take it, like you say, it's the choice. But AI can't help you be creative about how you enjoy your life, really. That you have to look inside yourself and decide. I mean, it probably could tell you a lot about it, right? They have answers for everything. But in the end, it comes back to you. Where is your center? What do you want? What do you want in your life? Nobody can really answer that. I don't think, will AI be able to tell you what you want in your life? I mean, I think it still comes back to how you feel. And I don't think AI has feelings or empathy or sadness or happiness. I think that's something that you need to find in yourself. And even if AI gives you ideas, you'll have to test it, right? So, also, what is creativity, right?
That's my answer.
Okay, thank you. I also have another question. What is the daily habit that we can build so we can have mental resilience?
Can you repeat it because I didn't hear?
What is a daily habit we can build to have mental resilience?
Mental resilience.
Try new things every day. Learn new things. Push the limits.
When you say mental resilience, well, what is that? Where does it stop? Here? Is that the mental? This is the mental, right? So to be resilient, I think comes back to, like you say, flexibility, being able to handle all kinds of situations, right? Resilience is not strength, because if you think of strength, how strong can you be? Life can be so difficult that no matter how strong you are, you can break. You need to be able to breathe through it and know when you're breathing and be able to look out and find your horizon and look around, so it's always connected with the physical state. And it's very hard to just think yourself happier or more balanced or more flexible, but you can feel it in your body much more easily. Am I in the middle? Am I on the left foot or the right foot or the middle? Where's my middle? So in these things that we will do here in the school, we do that throughout the curriculum. You will see that the teachers show you little things you can do to find your center, find what's best when you feel better. Does that answer?
Yeah, I was going to say, Vicky, you can speak to some of the members of the optimal learning and performance in the study group, because we're doing exactly that practice. It takes literally 30 seconds to 1 minute, where you can center and bring yourself back to who I am, and you take it from there. Yeah, and we're with some of your classmates from 11th grade, we're actually producing super short videos that can also be used by any student or by a group of students and teachers to apply these principles to our daily lives here.
I want to say one more thing, because Leora keeps talking about the fact that it doesn't stop here, but it takes your entire body. And I want you to understand a little bit and get a perspective of that from a different angle. But imagine, because I don't have real neurons connected, so I'm just going to use this one. You have a neuron, and you have another neuron, and they're connected, and usually in multiple ways, like in branches. So those neurons connect and reconnect, and there's a huge network. So this is a virtual one, and it flows directional from here to here. But the neural networks in the brain are interconnected. One neuron can have up to 10,000 connections with other neurons. And so they go in a circle or various circles and loops, and it constantly, the information just flows, which is like a mix between chemicals and electricity. The whole point is, however, what I want to say in the brain is that the brain has multiple connections and nerves going down the spine and other places to all parts of your body. So all of those signals that come from your hand, that come from your eyes, your ears, your skin, all of that goes through connections and plug into this big neural network of the brain. They plug through different places and they get hooked up into this. So depending on what you feel and how you feel in the body, you're going to have different information coming from here, and it's going to cause those neurons to wire in better or worse ways, and going to change other ways. So essentially, all of the neurons and neural pathways from the bottom of your body, they do connect to the brain in both directions. So the brain controls the body and how the body feels, and then however the body feels changes the neural way how the brain is connected. So this is just giving you an idea of why we don't stop here, even with thinking or with flexibility or anything. It's just the whole thing is connected.
Great. And not only this, but to expand on what you're saying, I completely agree. And that is...
Ending all debate.
No, we hope, but we just... Okay. The fact is that the body is the brain, because your brain by itself, it's closed in there. You get all the information from the environment through your body. That's how it's fed into the brain. And you output also through your body. You know, I'm talking to you through my mouth and tongue. I'm seeing you through my eyes. So I can see if you're bored or, you know, whatever, or interested. So I think of it a lot also as configurations. So when there's some kind of pattern like you showed here happening in the brain, it configures you in a certain way. So if I'm going to listen to you, you know, some people have a listening mode or a relaxed mode. It's all patterns. So that's why it's all one thing. Okay?
We had another question from the boy sitting. You got a question, right?
I have a question. So, when AGI releases and when we invent AGI, what jobs, and when we implement it into robots, for example, what other jobs will there be other than the people using it, like the CEOs of the companies and the people that maintain the AI? What other jobs will there exist?
We don't know. Honestly, it's very, very unpredictable. If that really happens the way we're talking about, because there's a lot of things that can happen. First of all, we might regulate it. Second of all, it might get super intelligent and just go away because it's not interested in Earth. Who knows? There's a lot of things that can happen. It's the future is not linear. We cannot predict it the way it is. But if really we get to the point where it can do most of our work, something else is going to happen. Because all those people that don't have job, what are they going to do? They're going to go on the streets and protest on that. And then we're going to have regulations. Things are going to change. Things are going to adjust. But in any case, again, my point is, you have to know this stuff. And it's better if you know more, and it's better if you know it first before other people.
But also, you're the ones who are deciding. You're the future. What do you think? And this human creativity, which you're talking about, and I want to talk about the corporate world, each worker will become a more optimal person by being more creative, like you said, by feeling what they're feeling and what does it look around, what does society want and need? Or what do you think they might? And you're the ones who are going to design it.
You can start talking about it. You can start protesting about it. You can do all kinds of things. And over 1, 2, or 3 years, as things develop, a lot of people are going to have the same thought, and they're going to start realizing it. Because a lot of people have not heard our conversations, but as time goes on, this information is going to go out to the wider public. And so everybody's going to ask the same question. And she's right. It's in your hands what we're going to do.
You got a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to this question. Basically, if robots take over, our jobs and everything, do you think that there would be people who would not only protest but make like jobs or specifically designed for humans? For example, I won't allow robots and AI to work here. Or I only allow humans, and I think that people will start to hate AI eventually with all the things going on.
I think this goes back to his question about the music. Are we gonna choose vinyl, or are we gonna stick to Spotify because it's more efficient? How many people use Spotify or YouTube for music? Okay, hands down. How many people have a vinyl player at home?
Wow.
That's actually more than I expected. Yes,
That's time for
but that's actually a lot. But still, you see the difference in numbers. So yes, there will be jobs that are going to be for humans only, and some companies will decide that they will be human only. But it's probably going to be a minority. That's what I expect. I was in my other presentation. There's a whole lot that I'm talking about robots. But if we're not talking about humanoid robots, and we just talk about a pizza, it's like an arm that makes the pizza and then puts it in the oven and then takes it and gives it to you. It's not a robot. It's just like a mechanical arm that does things, designed in a way to make pizza. It makes 80 pizza an hour. That's quite a lot.
Is it going to be an artificial pizza or a real pizza?
It's up for debate. But I explain the consequences of that. If you have robots creating pizza or like robotic arms, you don't need a salary anymore. So it's much cheaper. So if you have one in the city, it's exciting to go and see it. But if most of the pizzas are done with robots, the price is going to go down because you don't have that extra expense anymore. But a lot of the pizza places that are made by humans are going to have to be higher priced because those people need to get salaries. And so either some shops are going to close down because they cannot compete with the cheap pizza by robotic arms, or some shops, the price is going to go up and it's going to be luxury to eat pizza made by humans. So again, you're going to have that divide. You're going to have a little bit of human-made pizza, which is more kind of expensive and luxury, and you're going to have the cheap pizza made by robot. And I guess that's kind of like what we're going to be experiencing in any of those directions. There's going to be both, and you can choose which one it is, but one is going to be more efficient, so it's going to be more prevalent.
Can I just say that I think that there's always a swings in cultures, right? People become super attracted to some idea that seems very innovative, and then there's a reaction to it. And we had that with the Industrial Revolution. I'm very, if you look at history, and then people swung back to the human-produced things. We also had a lot of technology about 50 years ago, a lot of factories making pizza and bread. We still buy it frozen in the whatever. But then there was a swing back to slow food and smaller boutiques. I think because if we like it or not, we are connected to a whole body. People like the tactile thing. We experience life, when you look at the brain and the whole system, in basically 3-4 ways, right? Visual, auditory, kinesthetic. And also we process it in our brain. You make pictures in your head, you talk to yourself, and you have these emotions. We cannot ignore the fact that people are tactile and want emotions. Who's going to rock the baby? Who's going to stroke you? There are things that are still part of humanity. We just need to a little bit give them a higher status because we've been putting such a big emphasis on just thinking. And in terms of corporations and businesses, when you're going to go into the, into the world, the more each human is operating optimally, the more they can contribute to whatever the business is. And how much AI they use, there'll still be the human factor to decide in the end, right? I think. I hope. Okay.
Do we have more questions?
One question from a parent. First of all, thank you for this wonderful meeting and discussion and Canton School that organized it. while I was listening to you, or especially to you, and you were talking a lot about connecting to yourself and being at one with you, with yourself. And me as a parent, I find it very difficult to teach this young generation how to connect to themselves, because generally speaking, this is one of the most difficult things in life, to connect to yourself. I found it difficult to connect with myself for all these years, but nowadays I find it even more difficult because of the fact that these kids are raised with AI, with the digital assets, and everything around them is digital. So how do you teach these kids to connect to themselves? How does our generation teach this generation to connect to themselves, especially being really surrounded by technologies?
Yeah, I know it's really a challenge because they're always out and not thinking how they feel. And we know in this school, even, a lot of students, they sit on the computer so many hours and they don't notice that their whole body is in pain. How will you know if your child is connecting with themselves or you are connected with yourself? Well, you can look at them, right? So is it at a moment when they are running too quickly to notice what they feel, or at the moment when they're too static and not feeling anything, right? So I don't have the answers for every child, but I think, first of all, knowing the difference between the two.
Yeah. The thing is that we're taught one way. We are different than they are. And
What are we taught?
we were taught to play outside. So we had different things that we entertained with. Well, they're really with the devices, and it's very hard to find out what is really a good, let's say, proportion to the time spent on the computer and time spent.
Well, my system is a system of questions. So I need to find out from them, what do you feel right now? Do you want to feel different? Yes, I'm very happy sitting here with my, device, but okay, try something else. How does that feel? Experiment and stop for a minute and notice, is this, yes, in some ways it's really nice to be on the device because it's very entertaining, but how does my body feel? Am I breathing? Like maybe I should walk around a bit. I have faith in every system that if you really ask them with interest, they know. We just have to trust. I don't know how somebody's feeling. Nobody knows you as well as you do. We just ask the questions so you know what to ask yourself to find out. And that becomes interesting then. Then they will be much more interested to listen to you than if you say, get up and go outside. To say, hey, I'm really interested. Like, what does this feel like? Would you like to feel something different? If you don't, well, I'd kind of like to know, so let's try, Maybe. And also, drop your kid in the right school. I think this is going to be very interesting, what we're doing here with this team. Thank you for the question.
And just one final question to Petar. Can you tell us in your everyday job, what do you do as this is a very new profession, so can you tell us, can you tell the students as well, what is your everyday job? Well, what is it like to be an AI? Exactly.
So if we're talking about my job at 11, which is Chief AI Officer, initially I thought I was going to implement a lot of AI in all those companies. It turns out, and this is kind of connected to your previous question, that nobody wants to implement AI. So it turns out that my job is to convince people to implement AI because they need it. But it's very, very difficult. People have fears. Startups don't have time. Startups don't have money because it costs money. A lot of times, because I'm very well prepared, I know a lot of stuff, and I communicate with a lot of people, and I train a lot of companies. So I have the feedback, and I know what's going on. The problem is when I sit down with a startup and I tell them, I can help you, I can teach your team about what AI is and how to be more efficient, they tell me, we already use ChatGPT and we don't need that help. So then what happens is, if they decide to work with me, I sit down and run through one major presentation, which is 4 hours, to give them a kind of like an overview of what the world is happening with AI, and then another workshop which is specifically geared for ChatGPT and how to extract the most out of it. Then they realized they didn't know. But that kind of needs to be done kind of like less democratic way and more kind of, dictatorship way until they feel it. Because it's normal that they don't understand. They can't even imagine what's going on. So you have to really push it through until they feel it. So I don't know if there's a way to just take your kids out for a walk and plan activities that are outside, and then they will start feeling the benefits of that. I don't know.
Can I add one thing? You gave me an idea. So, my work is put together from a lot of cultural influences. I think that one of the nice activities for all people is martial arts. Because martial arts, the good ones, they're really about moving in balance around your center. And that's a very good embodiment of this idea of stability and flexibility at the same time. Young people especially like a lot of physical activity. Martial arts, a lot of them also are interactive. So judo and aikido, you work with somebody else, both of you keeping your balance and moving around. So I'm a great believer in that being a way to get your mental state to understand a physical state that is secure and balanced and flexible and knows yourself. It's kind of an embodiment of some of these ideas, right? That could be.
I think pretty much any sport, but I've been lately going to Muay Thai. Muay Thai, it's martial art. We fight with all four, kind of with legs and arms.
Yeah, I do think martial arts embody this more than, for example, all sports are very good. Like I was an athlete and I worked with athletes and I love it. But, like tennis is developing one side more, like in the brain also, and can cause more injuries. You don't have I don't know.
More injuries than martial art.
Yes, I think. Depends how you do it. But anyway, yeah, it's interesting that you said you would want to that too. So that's, yeah.
Since we are at the end of our talk, our debate that didn't really happen as a true.
But the worlds are going to come together.
But we heard at the beginning that our young fellows here are going into vacation from this very moment.
You should come tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So tomorrow you are coming to school, guys. But and we got a hint, and we heard that both of our panelists today are very into martial arts, and I know for a fact that Leora was the first European to get a black belt in judo in Japan.
First European, the youngest.
The youngest. Wow.
There were people before me.
But can you give both of you one recommendation? I mean, it's not very probable that our friends will go and sign into a judo class on Friday. But what would be the other tip that you would give them to do during the days of vacation to train their mind, their body, and the interconnectivity between mind and body? What would be the one thing they can do?
Oh, anything.
Why?
But if you ask them, they'll say they want to sit on the computer and play a video game.
But he's asking you.
One thing, I don't think that there's one thing. I don't think there's one thing that's good for everyone, right? I mean, that's why we're so unique and so special. The thing is for you to go inside yourself and think, what is the best thing I can do for myself? Even if it's just for 1 hour, but just asking yourself the question, maybe you'll find out something about yourself that you didn't know before.
It's
something that's not a video game.
Peter?
Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say try something new. Ideally, something physical with your body, and you can brainstorm that with ChatGPT, but make sure you don't end the process there, but actually go and try something new. It might be a sport. It might be, I recently tried a new one, and I loved it. It's a Spanish kind of racket thing, paddle. It's called paddle, and I really liked it because I've played tennis in the past. So yes, try something new. You might enjoy it.
Can I also? Yeah, that's a great idea, and I'll try that too. I think that when you go to ask yourself, what gives me the most pleasure? What's the most fun? I think a lot of you will find out that that's actually a very tricky question, because we're not trained to think that way. We're trained to be told, sit like this, stand like this, do like that, and you'll be a good person. And maybe you can ask yourself, what really do I like? What's going to give me a good time? See if that gives you an answer.
So I'll give you another story. I'm a super analytical and mathematical guy. So it was very surprising that I started drawing. And I don't know how to draw, and I can't draw. But what I can do is make lines. So I started making lines. And so I made more and more lines, and they started changing colors, and then they started changing shapes, and then they started changing materials until I got to a point where I made a big carpet made out of wool with a line, and then figures, 3D figures printed in it. And I sold this for $10,000. So it was very surprising, but very, very cool to find out that I can enjoy such a drastically different thing that I've never tried before in my life.
That's fantastic.
So
Fantastic. I should try something new.
And that's a great end to our conversation. Leora, Petar, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
And thank Jenny and the team for inviting us.
And all of you for sitting here and bearing with us today.
Yeah.
Yeah. That you can help take it forward.